right, Chuck.
Did you know the Chuck Taylor All-Star's origins go back to World War II? Let's go back more than a century. In 1908, Marquis Mills Converse founded the Converse Rubber Shoe Company in Boston. He set out to create an independent shoe company working with top rubber craftsmen. At first, the company made galoshes and waterproof winter boots, products that only sold in the cold months. To keep his shoemakers busy year-round, Converse needed something for the summer. In 1910, they introduced a canvas tennis shoe with a rubber sole. It was clever, but it wasn't the breakthrough yet. That breakthrough came when they applied their expertise to a brand new local sport, basketball. In 1917, they introduced an early basketball shoe called the non-skid, canvas upper, rubber sole, built for performance. Basketball itself wasn't even mainstream yet, but this was the start of something new, one of the first real performance sneakers in America. It wasn't iconic yet, but the foundation was there. In 1921, Chuck Taylor joins the company not as an inventor, but as a salesman and player coach. And this is where things get interesting. He doesn't just sell the shoe. He travels across the US running basketball clinics, convincing schools, gyms, and young athletes to wear it. He even pushes design changes, better flexibility, better ankle support, and helps refine the shoe into something more functional. Then the branding shift happens. The circular ankle patch gets refined, and his signature gets added in 1932. That's when the name changes everything. The shoe stops being just Converse. It becomes the Converse Chuck Taylor All-Star. From there, it takes over basketball. By the 1930s, most American teams are wearing them, and the reach doesn't stop there. During World War II, the shoe gets used in military training. Think about that scale. Soldiers across the country wearing the same sneaker in completely different environments. By the 1950s and 60s, it's basically running basketball. At one point, it owns almost the entire basketball footwear market. At that point, it's not a trend anymore, it's just what everyone wears. Then everything shifts. Nike and Adidas come in with real performance upgrades, cushioning, support, actual tech that changes how you play. And compared to that, the All-Star just feels stuck in time. No comfort upgrades, no innovation, no response. By the 1970s, serious athletes are gone. The shoe that once defined basketball gets pushed out completely. And in most industries, that's where it dies. And this is where we enter my favorite era, the 90s. At this point, the All-Star is basically dead in sports, because this is exactly where it finds its real home. I'm talking punk shows, basement gigs, grunge kids, people who don't care about polish at all, and it just fits that world perfectly. It's cheap, it's beat up, it gets dirty fast, and somehow that makes it better, not worse, and iconic for sure. By the time we hit the 2000s, Converse is honestly struggling for years. We're talking financial trouble, multiple bankruptcies. The brand that once owned basketball is now barely holding on in a market dominated by Nike and Adidas. Then 2003 happens. Nike buys Converse, and this is the interesting part. They don't try to save it by changing it. They don't redesign it, they don't modernize it, they don't try to turn it into some tech-heavy performance shoe. They do the opposite. They leave it exactly how it is. Because at that point, the problem was never the design. The design already survived everything. What mattered now was something else, the meaning people attached to it. From World War II military training shoes, the Converse Chuck Taylor All-Star is now fully in the fashion world, and big brands just can't get enough of it. Brands like Comme des Garçons, Off-White, Rick Owens, J.W. Anderson, all of them touched it. All of them wanted a piece of it. All of them turned it into something new while keeping that same silhouette. Here's the reality. It's not the most comfortable sneaker, it's not the most advanced, and it doesn't win on performance anymore, but it wins on recognition. You see the silhouette instantly, the toe cap, the patch, the shape, and you already know it's iconic. Most products need constant updates to stay relevant, or the market moves on. But there are a few rare pieces that stay almost completely the same for decades and still don't disappear. And for me, the most iconic example is the one and only Chuck Taylor All-Star. I uncover what makes fashion as a cultural movement iconic. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and share your iconic thoughts. See you in the next one.